Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Koala Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for October 2023. This is one of the more random decks that I always love to update, giving Chumley from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series the love he deserves. He hasn't appeared in Duel Links, and he hasn't really had much other support for the Koala deck, but the main focus of this deck is to get out the different fusion monsters we have for the Koala monsters, with our main boss monster being the Master of Oz, you see here, and then just being able to make use of the many different beast support cards we have to work with the many different Koala monsters we have in the deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. One of the two monsters for the summon of Master of Oz onto the field. And on top of this monster, it's basically just piercing, inflicting the damage as normal to that monster. But once again, the other monster needed to summon out the Master of Oz onto the field also. Together with both of these monsters, their attack and defense combined to equal the total numbers of Master of Oz, which is 4,200 attack on the field. So 3 of both of these monsters, just so we have more of an option to open up the multiples of these cards in our hand for the fusion play. And also 3 copies of Chumley's main go-to monster, being Death's Koala. With a flip effect, you inflict 400 points of damage to your opponent's life points for each card in their hand. So if your opponent has up to their opening hand, and then you flip into your Death's Koala, so if they just summon out one monster off of their 6-card draw, that's 2,000 points of damage directly right to your opponent with this card. And you definitely need to run the 3 Death's Koala with any Koala build. It's one of the go-to Koalas, having 1,800 attack for more of a defensive play, but it can also be utilized with some of the other Link monsters that we run in the extra deck to summon out. For that play, we are also running 3 copies of Sea Koala. With this card once per turn, if you control another beast-type monster, you can reduce the attack of one monster your opponent controls to 0 until the end of this turn. So it's just a better way for some of your powerhouse monsters to swing into your opponent's monsters. And then also 2 copies of Vampiric Koala. With this card, if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, while you battle with a monster, it gains life points equal to the battle damage inflicted. So you have an 1,800 attack point monster thanks to your Vampiric Koala being able to then hit for some pretty big damage all together with this card, and then also being able to make use of the life point gain. You really don't use life points for much in this deck, but you can make full use of just another stronger normal summon target in the deck for you to summon out against your opponent. And it is also a beast monster, so working with a good variety of our other Link monsters as well, just being able to summon it out off of cards like Farigit from the extra deck onto the field. And then for some of the one-ofs, the 1 copy of the Tree Otter. It's the other fusion requirement for Koala. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. You must control one beast-type monster other than this card to activate and resolve the effect. Koala. 4 additional copies of Tree Otter, being more of a boost, while your Sea Koala reduces the attack of your opponent's monsters. The 1 Elephant. This is so we can go into some synchro plays in the deck as well, having some beast target options thanks to this level 2 tuner as well. And also just being Koala fusions, we can use King of the Swamp as the other replacement. And if we already have the other fusion cards, we can at least use it to search out our polymerizations to our hand. And then for the last of the main deck monsters, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. When a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, it just has the... I was about to read the full effect of Ash Blossom with this card, but it's just the hand trap to shut down any of your opponent's plays. The preferred one as well, just for stopping anything that your opponent might try to use against you. And moving on now to the spells, I run 3 copies of Polymerization, just your fusion card of choice to get out our many different fusions in the deck as well, depending on what you might want to summon out onto the field. And also, we are running the 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. You reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck one of the fusion heroes whose name is specifically listed on it. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except for fusion monsters, but just being able to reveal whether it be Koala and also Master of Oz, and then get that specific monster onto the field for the the special summon as well, means you can just easily summon Big Koala onto the field, giving you a 2700 attack point monster, since it specifically lists this card on the field as well. Even if you don't go for the fusion play, you did get this 2700 attack point monster out on the field thanks to this spell. And then also the 2 copies of Ayers Rock Sunrise. I really do like this card over Monster Reborn in the deck because we are just running the majority of beast monsters to begin with. You target a beast monster in your graveyard, special summon that target, and then all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls lose 200 attack for each beast monster in your graveyard currently until the end of this turn. So it has the special summon power of Monster Reborn with an additional card effect on top of that, being able to lower your opponent's monster's attack as well, giving you that special summon option. Means also, if you have Master of Oz that was destroyed as well, depending on what we have face up to use, the 2 copies of Defusion. This one I really do like just because you have the potential to hit for game with your Master of Oz. If you swing at your opponent's monster that has had their attack lowered thanks to cards like Sea Koala, then using Defusion to then go back into Desk Kangaroo and Big Koala means you're hitting for 4200 attack and then an additional 42 with these 2 monsters combined being enough to hit for game against your opponent thanks to these cards. And then also for the rest of the spell is 1 copy of Fusion Recycling Pant to make use of the monsters going back into our hand, or just the Polymerization Search, the 1 Closed Forest for the additional attack boost, and also the 1 Terraforming to search out the specific field spell we may want for the plays. And then for the traps, 3 copies of Horn of the Phantom Beast. You target a beast monster on the field, equip this card, and it gains 800 attack. The equipped monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard. You draw 1 card. So nothing scarier than a Master of Oz that has had its attack boosted up to potentially being more than even the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, with 5,000 attack total and the additional card effect to at least replenish your hand from any of the cards you may have invested into your fusion plays, with the final trap being the 1 Berserk King. Once per turn during main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you can select 2 face-up beast monsters on the field. Until the end of this turn, one of the selected monsters loses half its attack, and then the monster or the other one gains the attack. So another way to power up your Master of Oz, depending on the other beast monster that you had on the field. Even if you weren't going to attack with your Vampiric Koala, you could even do the play where you have both your Vampiric Koala and your Master of Oz, selecting the 2 face-up monsters, having Vampiric Koala gain the attack equal of half the attack of Master of Oz, puts it at a much higher attack point amount for you then to swing into your opponent, dealing more damage and gaining a much more significant amount of life points thanks to this trap. And then for the extra deck, I run the 1 copy of Master of Oz. If you want to run 2 copies of this card, you could always reduce the number of some of the other Link monsters that we run in the deck. But with the Defusion play, you just have ways to put it back into the extra deck as well, and then get out the resources, and then just fusion summon into it again. The 1 copy of Koalo Koala, you need the 1 Sea Koala per turn. So if you have the multiple beast monsters, you can use this card for the Send and Destruction play as well. And you're also setting up beast monsters in your graveyard to then special summon that have the dark attribute, like our Desk Koala and our Desk Kangaroo for these fusion plays. And also the 1 copy of First of the Dragons for our 2 big koalas to make this bigger fusion monster. And then lastly, for the fusion monsters, the 1 Garura Wings of Resonant Life. Any battle damage your opponent takes from battles involving this card is doubled, and then having the draw effect when sent to the graveyard, just needing 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, but different names. And then for the Link monsters, the 1 copy of Firefighting Daruma Doll, the 1 Farragut Tri-Brigade, the 1 Barricade Board Blocker, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, and the 1 Mrs. Radiant and Cross Sheep for the Link 2 monsters, along with the final Link 2 monster being the 1 copy of IP Masquerena to go with the Nightmare Unicorn. All the easier, because then depending on what we open up, if we have our fusion deployment, our King of the Swamp, or even just 1 of the needed monsters, then we have enough of the play to then go for our fusion of choice, and it all depends on what the final monster in your hand may be. If it's Big Koala, then you have the Master of Oz play. If it's the Sea Koala, then you have the Search for Koalo Koala. So with the first one, you'll just have the Big Koala in your hand. You'll discard the King of the Koala this time, grabbing the Tree Otter for the summon, and then using these same plays to fusion summon with those monsters to get out Koalo Koala instead. Having a pretty good amount of attack points, not as strong as Master of Oz, but you do have the destruction play that this card also gives you on top of that also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Like I said, I always love updating